With the release of its first season back in 2019, it didn't take long for Virgin River to become one of the biggest romantic dramas in the history of Netflix. And this isn't at all surprising, considering just how much talent can be found on the show's writing team and cast. But what are some headlines fans should know about? And have we heard anything about the anticipated fourth season? For all of this and more, stay tuned. First of all, let's take a look at the latest hints from Martin Henderson, the man who is probably best known for his portrayal of Jack Sheridan on the show. And since Virgin River revolves around the romantic interests of both Jack and Mel Monroe, as brought to life by the impeccable Alexandra Breckenridge, it goes without saying that these hints carry some weight. With the filming of season 4 now at an end, Henderson decided to post a picture of himself in a voiceover booth with the caption reading, "Back at work, getting season 4 good and ready for consumption." What does this mean though? Well, fans who understand the filming process will recognize this step as post-production, the phase where the editors of the show start putting things together and often demand more audio to fill certain voids or change a couple of story arcs in line with reality. And since the post-production phase is followed by the release of a project, fans couldn't be more excited. It's also important to note that Virgin River doesn't depend on massive amounts of visual effects, which drastically shortens the period often needed for post-production. In other words, we can most likely expect Virgin River to drop in the next few months, which is great news considering how Netflix has been a bit of a bore lately. Suffice to say, we can't wait to see where the showrunners take season 4 of the darling show, and according to Martin Henderson, this wait isn't going to be much longer. Speaking of, what can fans realistically expect from the fourth season of the franchise? Well, this is a pretty difficult question to answer, considering how Netflix has yet to drop a trailer for the season, but we can obviously assume some things based on prior happenings on the show, as well as what certain people involved have said. When we last left our beloved characters, for example, Brady had just been arrested for the shooting of Jack, so we don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that a large portion of the story is going to be directed at the completion of the story arc. This is especially the case since the majority of fans don't believe that the former Marine actually pulled the trigger. Sure, he and Jack didn't see eye to eye at times, but there are people out there who would much rather see Jack dead, and we're pretty sure one of them was actually responsible for the shot. It also sounds like a similar sentiment was expressed by showrunner Sue Tenney a couple of months ago, who stated, "The webbing of that story goes all the way back to the first season, so it's a connective tissue that goes through 4 seasons." And while it might be true that Brady's true intentions might be explored in this way, it would be far more satisfying to see him exposed as a scapegoat. We also can't forget about Mel's pregnancy. With Jack surviving the gunshot, this leaves space for the dynamic duo to get back together, but many secrets still remain. It isn't all good news though, with season 5 of Virgin River set to be delayed. The coronavirus pandemic has been an absolute terror to work with and has caused more than a few delays when it comes to the broader filming industry. And Netflix isn't exactly the exception to the rule, despite how much money the streaming platform has at its disposal. We're still waiting for the 4th season of Stranger Things after all, but fans were more than happy to hear that the popularity of Virgin River allowed the streaming platform to not only renew it for a 4th season, but a 5th season as well. And in the world of cancellations, this allowed all of us to breathe a collective sigh of relief. But with season 4 of the franchise about to drop, it sounds like season 5 won't be coming along as soon as we all expected. According to Breckenridge, the 5th season was actually meant to start filming in March of this year, but since post-production of season 4 has just started, it goes without saying that the possibility of this happening is slim. She did, however, say that the cast and crew have been pushed in an attempt to fit everything into the schedule provided. When asked about the actual start date of season 5, she responded with a solemn, "I don't know," stating that she's hoping things will pick up in the summer months. In her own words, "It would be nice to film in Vancouver in the summer rather than the winter." That's not only the tea Alexandra Breckenridge decided to spill though. The leading lady behind Mel Monroe also talked about just how difficult the filming of season 3 was for her, actually likening the pain she felt throughout to childbirth. Quite fitting considering how the starlet's character is pregnant at the moment with no inkling of who the child actually belongs to. According to her, the experience of season 3 was one of her worst, as she went on to experience some of the worst toothaches known to man. In an Instagram live the other day, she actually revealed to her many fans that this is why she had to have an emergency root canal procedure all those years ago. And although the executive producers were more than patient with her at time, she had to somewhat bite the bullet and do her scenes while ignoring the incredible pain in her mouth. According to Breckenridge, this did make the filming of emotionally painful scenes a whole lot easier though, as it gave her something to draw from. That being said, nobody wants to deal with excruciating toothaches at work. Unwilling to delay the show any further, Breckenridge stayed on until the season had wrapped, which finally gave her the opportunity opportunity to take care of herself. This doesn't just show how brilliant Breckenridge is when it comes to the portrayal of Mel Monroe, it also shows just how much she cares for her fans. It's because of her decision that we're able to see season 3 when we did. Fans are also still wondering whether Hope will return for season 4. And since she's been gone for a full season, it's a pretty good question to ask. The mayoral character was last seen portrayed by the magnificent Annette O'Toole, but fans were quite confused when the starlet was oddly absent from the cast credentials of season 3. It was later discovered that Hope's non-existence presence on the show's 3rd season had everything to do with the spread of COVID-19. Just another spanner that the coronavirus pandemic had thrown in the works. You see, because of the COVID-19 travel restrictions in place at the time, O'Toole was actually unable to travel to Vancouver where filming had already begun. Rather than wait for her, the showrunners decided to somewhat write her character out of the season, which was absolutely fine considering how she wasn't explicitly involved in any of the passing story arcs. That being said, this is no longer the case. Now that vaccination numbers are looking good and the Omicron strain is sounding less intense than the Delta variant, Canada decided to open its borders, allowing O'Toole to be present for the filming of season 4. In other words, we can all expect Hope to return in the upcoming installment of the franchise. And since she'll be coming out of a car accident, as we saw in the season 3 finale, we have a feeling that she'll be getting quite a bit of screen time as a result. Good thing too, as we really miss her presence. Which other characters will be returning to the silver screen? We already know that Martin Henderson and Alexandra Breckenridge will be reprising their roles as Jack and Mel, as there's no Virgin River without these two titular characters. The showrunners have also confirmed that Lauren Hammersley will also be making her return as Charmaine Roberts. Tenney actually noted this in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, where she stated that Charmaine will be dealing with quite a lot come season 4. In her own words, we have a pretty big bombshell for Charmaine coming in the following season that's going to blow everybody away. We also expect Tim Matheson to return as Doc, as we still need to explore the story behind his grandson showing up at the end of season 3. In fact, we have a feeling that this will give the show the opportunity to explore Doc's past a bit more and answer the questions fans have been asking about him. Either way, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to when season 4 of Virgin River finally makes its appearance. And there you have it, everything you could possibly need to know about the latest installment of everyone's favorite romantic drama. What do you think of Martin Henderson's hints though? And what are your thoughts on the future of the show? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.